and welcome back to my channel. This is Killtocraft Podcast and I am Vanessa, your host. To all those people who have never watched my channel before, hello and welcome. I hope you'll stay with me and watch some of the episode and see if you like some of what I make. I am primarily a knitting podcast, but I also sew, I stitch, I have done quilting in the past. It's not something I do a lot of, but you never know. I also do a little bit of spinning and crochet, so I like a lot of the makey pursuits. I am from the UK, from Yorkshire, and this is a podcast that I have done for quite a number of years, and in the past year and a half I haven't actually podcast due to I fell off the bandwagon a little bit after some serious health issues in the family, and it's taken me some time to get back to some kind of normality. So I hope those of you who have stayed with me through that time via Instagram or Ravelry, I'm very grateful for you sticking with me, and if you are still subscribed, I thank you very much for being patient and waiting for me to get back to this. So I am Vanessa, also known as Nessa or Killtocraft on Instagram, and Killtocraft also on Ravelry, and you can find me at my blog at www.killtocraft.wordpress.com, and I'll try and add that in down here for you. Trying to think if there's any other places because I'm a little bit out of touch. This has taken me a couple of weeks to do because I attempted this already about a week ago and realised I haven't podcasted in a long time, and I flailed like a crazy person, so I decided not to put that up because nobody needed to see how bad it was. I'm going to try and keep it to a shorter episode for editing purposes, so and I'll leave some of the housekeeping things towards the end of the podcast. So we'll get right into some knitting and some making. So first off is my FO, which this is probably one of my latest finished objects, which is the Soldotna crop. This is a pattern by Caitlin Hunter, which everybody will have heard of because she's amazing and she does some beautiful designs that everybody loves. I've had this done now since around about May. I wore this to the Leeds Wool Festival, so I've definitely had it finished since around about May, because that was, I think, early June. But it's one of my favourite tops. I wear it a lot with like dresses, so as you can see. The yarn is Coop Knits Double Knit, and I got this from the Loveliest Yarn Company, and I actually got this at Spring Into Wool, which I think was April or May. So I've used like a lime, a coral, a rust colour and a teal. It's perfect. I love it. I wear it with all like high-waisted jeans and things. I've got a pinafore that I sometimes wear it with, dresses. It's really versatile and I really love wearing it. So if you've never thought that you could wear a crop, dresses and high-waisted things are like your best friend ever, because it goes perfectly with all of those. High-waisted skirts, I absolutely love it with high-waisted skirts. And I even have some harem kind of pants. They're quite big, like balloon kind of pants, which I got from a like fair trade shop kind of at a seaside. So I wear those because when I can pull them up onto my waist, and then this hits just above those, so it probably leaves about this much skin between, so I don't feel like I'm naked. But yeah, it's really great. It's a really beautiful sweater, really quick project. The colour work you do in no time. It's the most exciting thing ever. Like could not put it down. I could not stop knitting it. It was just beautiful, engaging, really interesting, and it's just it was so exciting. The only thing that I found not exciting was doing the flea kind of 2 colour, but 2 at a time colour, but 3 in this section, and it just it didn't really excite me that much. I found it a little bit laborious. Is that the word? But I trugged on and I carried on, and I measured it from the top of my shoulder here, just after the neckband, and I measured down to my waist point, which you can get your waist point if you kind of tilt your body to the side a little bit. You can find where your natural waist is, because it's at the crease of your waist, and I think I did mine a few centimetres just above that, so that you could see where I came out. So it doesn't, if you do your crop just above your natural waist, you'll see where you go in and out, which will give like a really flattering illusion when your crop just sits above it. So whereas if it sits just below that, it can sometimes just look quite linear. Anyway, rambling on about body shape. I really loved the sweater. I had a couple of qualms. Now the neckline is really tight, and on the original images for the sweater, the neckline's really wide. It's actually quite wide. It gives the impression that the width of the neckline is quite similar to the Sunset Highway sweater, which I've already knit, and I fell in love with that one. And at the time when seeing this, I kind of thought, oh yes, please, I will love to knit that, because it's already a similar style to a sweater I already have, also by Caitlin. And upon checking the pattern project photos, everybody's necklines were coming out tiny and really small. I started knitting this hoping that this wasn't going to be the case, but I actually got gauge and I got tension perfect, and I cast on, and as I started to do the neckline here, that's when I realised that, wait a minute, this is really tiny. To me, a pattern, when you get a pattern, the picture should really represent the finished object. It doesn't. So if you are intending on choosing this pattern, definitely go to the project photos on Ravelry and take a look at it first before you decide, because the neck is very close fitting. The thing that I decided to check on, because I thought I was going a bit doolally and maybe this was just something, there was something wrong, I actually checked back on another one of Caitlin's sweaters, which is the Guthrie sweater. That I haven't knit yet, but I'm intending to. That has a very high neckline and it's very fitted. It's a full sleeve sweater. It has the same cast on stitch count as this. So this is actually meant to be this. It's just that the original pattern photos, their garment is a lot looser and doesn't represent the end result very well. However, that shouldn't really put you off, because it is an amazing pattern. It does knit up really nicely. If you are a little bit worried, use a slightly bigger needle for the neckline. I think I went up 1 needle size for the neckband, because after casting it on and doing it, I felt like it might be a little bit too tight. So I just went up 1 needle size and then carried on with the rest after that as normal. But it came out really well. You don't end up using too much yarn. I think this is 50 grams gains. I used 2 for the teal. I used 2 for the brown and 1 each of the coral and the green, the lime. So that's 50 grams for the coral and lime, and 100 grams for the teal and the brown. So if you've got like a random 100 gram skeins, you might be able to use those up. I'm a 38-inch bust. I think I picked the 3rd size, so that just gives you an idea of, and I had of the 50 gram ones, so the lime and coral, I think I had about 10 or 20 grams left, and I had a considerable amount of the brown and a little bit of the teal, so you definitely have enough. If you are wanting a longer version, I would slightly go up, especially with the teal, and maybe go into 100 grams for these two instead, maybe. Or again, look at pattern pages, because they will give you a rough gauge of what to expect. If you are wanting to lengthen your body, somebody of a similar size might be able to give you information. But yeah, I love it. It's perfect. Really enjoyed it. At Spring Into Wool, I went with Tracy, which is a show in Leeds, a weekend show, and as we got there, we went into the main hall, and I was only there about 5 minutes, 2 stalls in, and I'd already spent my money because I wanted to find colours for this, and I literally just saw them there on the stand. All the other colours in this like little unit that was filled with the Coop Knits DK, they were quite subtle shades, so as I was looking at them, I was just like, oh these are perfect together, and I ended up just straight away being like, yes please, I will take these home because they're perfect. So I literally spent up straight away, and Tracy was laughing. She was like, you've just done now, you've spent up. Sorry, my cat is distracting. He's right behind me somewhere. He's snaffling something. Hey. Oh, he's not. He's doing this really weird thing. He likes to lick plastic boxes. Does anybody else's cat like to do this? He loves plastic. He's such a weirdo. So if I have like a bottle of water and it's been in the fridge, if I put it down, he'll start licking it. It's like, it's just gross. Stop doing that. So because I have a box with all of my oddments in that is technically for my Penguono sweater, he's just sat there licking the edge of it like, it's disgusting. It's really weird. Such a pervert. Can you hear him? Lincoln. Hi. Spare me 1 second. Hey. No. He probably won't stay there. That's my cat, Lincoln. He's naughty. Hey, baby. Oh, yes. He's very naughty. He doesn't like to stay wherever I put him, so he's most likely going to jump down in a second. And he's probably going to go and run off and do something and be naughty elsewhere. So anyway, 15 minutes left, so I better get on with chatting about some of the other things that I've been making over this past week. I've been making some socks. These are the Felici, what's the colourway? Pinata colourway. And I got this yarn, I think last year. I'm using the Dave Socks pattern, which is by Rachel Coopey, Coop Knits. I think it's in her Coop Knits 2 book, but I absolutely love the colourway. And I wanted to cast on some more socks that was a bit more summery, because we've been having very gloomy, rainy weather in the UK. It has been so rainy. About a month and a half of rain, people. Like, with barely any summer, it was horrendous. So I cast on some really summery socks to cheer myself up, and I got this pretty much finished. I just need to do the toe, which I'm usually wait until I've actually done the second sock and do the toes together and get them done, so they're both wearable at the same time. I actually finished this while watching a marathon viewing, 3 days, 3 films, Godfather. Me and Will decided to have 3 evenings where we sat down and watched Godfather 1, 2 and 3 in a row, and I managed to get this sock completed. Absolutely love them. They fit like a dream. I always loved this sock pattern because you have the option of doing a round heel, which if anybody hasn't done a round heel, I advise you give it a go. This one, I kind of slightly adapt it to 60 stitches. So I just work a couple of plain rows until I get to the 60 stitch point where I can start decreasing. But basically it fits my heel and cups my heel so much better than any other short row version. I don't really rate the Fish Lips Kiss heel. It is quick. It's really just an easygoing heel type, but it doesn't work well. It actually slips under my foot when I'm walking. Nobody needs that. So I always do the rounded heel, but it also comes with a heel flap and gusset version, which I also do like to do. Not many people like a heel flap and gusset, but I really appreciate it. Both of these versions fit me really well and fit my instep perfectly. And the great thing is, if you do have a high instep, you could just do some extra rows. There's a straight section here. As you can see, the shaping starts. So there's a straight section. So if you need a little bit more depth in that section, you could just do some more rows before you start doing the star decreases for the end. So those are my Dave socks. And I'm still working on the second sock, which I'm intending on knitting while watching some Stranger Things since the new season's come out on Netflix. The next thing I've been working on is some stitching. So I got this gifted to me on my birthday, which was February, by my sister-in-law when we get married. And she gifted me this Sashiko, is it? Stitching kit. It's a modern version by Stitchonomy. It's on Etsy. And I really wanted to have a go at this kind of way of stitching because it's really relaxing. It's a Japanese tradition. They use it a lot with quilts, which I think would be really nice to get some plain like indigo fabric and maybe bat it and then draw. You can draw some stitch lines and then you quilt through doing the same method, but this is just an embroidery. And it's really beautiful. And I sat down one night after work, well, a few nights after work, after a stressful period where I was going through a bit of anxiety, and I'd started to try and have some quiet reflection time, just doing something that would take my mind off of things. And I find that stitching actually does that where knitting doesn't anymore. The only way that knitting actually does the same thing is if it's a really complicated item, but because I'm needing to relax, working on a complicated thing just makes me more tense. So this really worked a treat, and I got this on gifted to me, but it was bought on Etsy. Don't know if she does them anymore, but you can still find pre-printed fabrics because this is pre-printed. You can find pre-printed fabrics in the same manner that you just follow with running stitch. It's really beautiful. I just need to finish it off. I'll probably press this, put it in the hoop, and then I will do a running stitch at the back to gather some of the fabric, and then I will glue and felt over it to keep it neat, and then it will probably go on my wall. So that's that. The next thing that I've been working on is a little bit of crochet. So I intended on making this a while ago, but I didn't have the pattern, and then at Spring Into Wool, not Spring Into Wool, at Yarndale maybe last year or the year before, I managed to find a back issue on the Inside Crochet stand, and this is Moomin, and he's an Irene Strange pattern. I'm not sure if you can get him on Ravelry. He's really cute, and I wanted him in my craft room. The pattern is basically for Moomin, but it has accessories, so you can get a skirt and a bracelet and yellow hair additioned for Snot Maiden. I'm a really big Moomin fan, and I have a Moomin tattoo. It's just a really long-loved childhood sweet thing that I have. I really love Moomin, so I wanted to make one to go with all my other Moomin stuffies that I have in my bedroom. As you can see, he isn't complete. I've managed to get one of his arms and legs done this week already, and I'm intending on doing his other leg. The only thing that I realise after looking at him now is that his face is slightly askew. So he's more of a side angle Moomin, because if you look at him from the front, his eye seems to be slightly more this side. But when you look on the picture, the eye is placed down from the decrease points in this kind of position. So I did actually position them to how his head is in the book. So, but it doesn't bother me. He's beautiful either way. Look at his eyes. Look at his little Moomin eyes. Look at them. Anyway, I will put Moomin away. So I really enjoyed making him. The only thing is that crochet doesn't come 100% naturally to me, so it takes me a while to do crocheted things. It really taxes me, does crochet, for some reason. I just don't find that the motion of it that easy going. I feel like I'm always having to like push through, especially with something that is at a tight gauge like the Moomin is. My next work in progress, which I've got in my new glittery knitter bag from Stitchonomy, which I got this week, I have started my Ripple Bralette, which is by Jessie. You may have heard of her on Instagram. I think everybody and their aunt is making one of these. So this is some yarn I had left over from my Sunset Highway sweater from Le Bien Aimé. Is it Aimé? Always feel like I say it wrong. Not 100% sure. You all know who I mean. So this is turquoisey kind of colour. It's really beautiful. This is the Vesper colourway, and I actually picked this up at Pomfest a few years ago. It comes out really small because it's negative ease. I haven't tried it on yet. I'm kind of worrying it's not going to fit, but we'll see. In fact, I might try it on a little bit later and just see if I can squeeze it on. I did actually knit the size that it said, so I knit my size that had 11 inches negative ease. I think it said you needed to have something like 8 to 11 or 6 to 11 negative ease. So maybe if it's not quite right, I might, when I make a next one, I might go up to the next size, or I might just change needle, but we will see. But it's a really beautiful pattern. I'm really enjoying it. It's really simple. It's got plenty of ribbing so that it's nice and snug. So it's like a 3x3 rib, also with some twisted rib, but no twisted pearls. It's like heaven. Nobody likes twisted pearls. The only thing that I changed was that at the edge, it tells you to, at the end here on this like triangle section, it says to slip the last stitch. I didn't. I knit it. I actually slipped it on the beginning of the next row, because that makes sense so that your yarn is in the right position. Because to me, if I'm slipping the last stitch, my yarn is after that first stitch on the wrong side, and even though I'm purling, it feels jinky. It just doesn't feel right when I'm then purling. So I decided to knit to the end these last stitches, and then on the opposite side with the yarn at the front, I just slipped a stitch purlways and purled the remaining stitches. So anyway, so I was talking about the rippled bralette. I'm really enjoying it. I'd really advise anybody to give it a go. It is beautiful and a really quick pattern. I've only spent a couple of days working on this, and it's going to be finished. I have some remaining yarn from some Juliana fibres from a project I had from a while ago in this prism colourway, which is like a dark charcoal with rainbow, and I'm thinking about making my next one in this. So yeah, that's that. We'll quickly go into housekeeping just before the end of the episode. So I'm trying to get out the prizes from previous Kals. I've gotten in touch with a couple of people. If I haven't gotten in touch with you, if you could just message me and verify that your address is still the same so that I can get those posted out to you, that would be amazing. Trying to get back some organisation now that I'm feeling a little bit more on top of things. I'm trying to get things out there before I announce for the archive along prizes for the past two quarters. So I'm trying to get all of those things shipped out so that I can feel on top of everything. The archive along, so the Killtocraft Ravelry Group and the Twisted Stitches Podcast Ravelry Group have come together again. That's me, Twee and Kimberly, and we are doing a knit along, make along, sew along, crochet along, stitch along, basically anything you want. If it has a pattern, you can make it. If you've had a pattern in your stash or library that is prior to 2019 and you've had it stashed away and not knitted or made it, this is the time to get those out and get those made. Basically, we're trying to not buy too many new patterns, and we're trying to use the things that we already own, or a little bit of both. You can double dip into both of our Ravelry groups and any other group that matter where the pattern corresponds. But basically the archive along is dip into your stash, your books, your old patterns, your sewing patterns that you've been intending on making prior to 2019 and get them made. And you can enter those into our Kal for prizes. We are saying that anything over 50%, but if you don't tell us, we won't know. Basically, we are very easygoing, and if you want to join in and make something from beginning, that is amazing, and we would love to see you from scratch make something really fabulous. If you have something that is about 50% complete, please come by and enter and join in. If it's a pattern you've had for a really long time, you want to get it finished and made, perfect Kal for you. I am currently working on nothing from my pattern stash, but I'm intending on doing so, and I will probably update you with some of that next time. But yeah, come along to our Ravelry group and join in our knit along. We'd love to see you there, or make along. You can also join in the make along via Instagram with the archivealong2019 hashtag. And I think that's all I have to say on that note. Thank you for popping by again, and thank you for spending some time with me. I hope I haven't rambled too much and that you have enjoyed this episode and you'll come back and spend some more time with me in the future. Thank you very much, and see you soon. Bye!